Okay, let's talk about something really personal today. That journey towards becoming parents. It's full of hope, right? But sometimes it hits these roadblocks, these challenges that are hard to understand. What if I told you there might be this hidden barrier, something happening way down at the cellular level, something we might actually be able to influence? Today, we're diving deep into that very idea, the honestly surprising role of oxidative stress in fertility struggles. And this affects both men and women.
Absolutely. And our goal here, our mission for this deep dive, is really to unpack the science behind this oxidative stress. We're going to zoom in on one specific harmful compound called malondialdehyde, or MDA for short. We'll look at how our bodies naturally fight back those defense mechanisms, and crucially, we'll uncover some practical, actionable ways you can support your reproductive health. We're drawing insights from what you might call an integrative approach to fertility. It's about getting a deeper understanding, really empowering ourselves.
Okay, MDA, malondialdehyde. Sounds quite technical.
Yeah.
So what exactly is this stuff? You mentioned cellular rust earlier. Why is it such a big deal when we're talking about trying to conceive?
Yeah, MDA is definitely a key player, and not in a good way. It's a highly reactive compound. Basically, it's a damaging byproduct that gets formed when fats in our cell membranes get damaged. That's lipid peroxidation. And yes, thinking of it as cellular rust isn't far off. The really important thing here isn't just saying oxidative stress is bad. It's that MDA is something we can often measure. It gives us a tangible marker of this damage, higher levels of MDA. Well, they're directly linked to things like poorer egg quality, lower sperm quality, problems with embryo development, and even lower chances of implantation and pregnancy. So it really can act as this sort of silent barrier to conception. It signals there's significant damage and imbalance.
Wow, that's a direct link. So when you talk about impacts, does it work differently in men versus women? Or is it the same kind of damage just showing up in different ways?
It's fundamentally the same kind of cellular issue, yeah, but the consequences manifest differently and we can measure them. In the female reproductive system, for instance, higher MDA is linked to conditions like endometriosis, which can be incredibly tough, and also diminished ovarian reserve. It can mess with the environment where the eggs actually mature, the follicular environment. And for male factor infertility, it's just as critical. High MDA levels, they're often found alongside poor sperm motility, meaning they don't swim well, abnormal morphology, so their shape is off, and really importantly, DNA fragmentation in the sperm. All of that definitely lowers the odds of conceiving naturally or even having success with treatments like IVF.
That brings up a really interesting point. Why is the reproductive system, eggs and sperm, why are they apparently so much more vulnerable to this kind of oxidative damage than, say, other cells in our body?
That's a great question, and it's key. The reproductive system is particularly sensitive, mainly because eggs and sperm cells are packed, really rich, with polyunsaturated fats, the good fats, like omega-3s. Well, ironically, those very fats are prime targets for attack by free radicals. They're highly susceptible to this peroxidation process we mentioned. So neutralizing those free radicals, protecting these really delicate cells, it becomes this constant critical job for preserving fertility.
Okay, that sounds a bit scary, this constant attack on the cells. Does our body have, any way to fight back? Or are we just kind of helpless against these free radicals?
Oh, absolutely. The body fights back. Fortunately, we're incredibly well equipped with natural defenses. The main soldiers in this fight are antioxidant enzymes. They're the front line. Two of the most important ones are catalase and glutathione peroxidase, or GPX. They play these vital roles in neutralizing the harmful byproducts like hydrogen peroxide and lipid peroxides. Basically, they help stop the damage to cells and DNA in our reproductive tissues before it gets out of hand.
Catalase and GPX. Okay. Can you break down a little bit how they actually work? What are they doing inside the cells to protect things?
Sure. Catalase has a very focused job. It takes hydrogen peroxide, which is a common byproduct of just living and breathing, our metabolism, and it breaks it down into harmless water and oxygen. That's it. By doing that simple thing, it directly helps prevent oxidative injury in the ovaries and the testes. Then you have glutathione peroxidase, GPX, equally vital. It reduces those lipid hydroperoxides, the rust on the fats, and also helps with hydrogen peroxide. This provides really critical protection for the gametes themselves, the eggs and sperm, and helps maintain a healthy environment in the uterus and testes, an environment that's actually conducive to conception.
It sounds like a really elegant system, these internal defenders. But I guess, are there things in modern life, common situations, that might stop these enzymes from doing their job properly?
Definitely. That's where the problems often start. When the activity of catalase and GPX is low, for whatever reason, then oxidative damage can really ramp up. This happens especially under conditions like chronic stress, which so many people experience a consistently poor diet, maybe high in processed foods.
Hmm.
Ongoing exposure to environmental toxins, pollution, chemicals, or even certain underlying reproductive disorders themselves can lower the activity of these enzymes. So yeah, keeping these enzymes working well is crucial, and lots of factors can unfortunately get in the way.
Right. So if these natural enzyme defenses are so important, is there anything we can actually do? Like, can we actively support them, boost their activity?
Yes, that's the empowering part. There's quite a bit we can potentially do. We have more influence here than you might think. Specific nutrients in certain supplements have been studied and shown to directly support or even enhance the activity of catalase and GPX. Take selenium, for example. It's absolutely essential for making GPX. It's needed as a building block, and there's good research showing it helps improve sperm quality and protect ovarian follicles. Zinc is another one. It plays a big role in just maintaining these antioxidant enzyme systems overall, and it also helps with healthy hormone balance, which is obviously key for fertility. And then you have the classics, vitamin E and vitamin C. They're powerful antioxidants themselves, and they work together synergistically with our body's own systems to help cut down on that lipid peroxidation, that cellular rust.
Okay. Selenium, zinc, vitamins E and C. Makes sense. Are there other, maybe more targeted compounds that studies suggest could be helpful here?
Yes, definitely. Beyond those foundational nutrients, there are several others that show real promise for boosting antioxidant activity and improving reproductive outcomes. Things like alpha-lipoic acid or ALA coenzyme Q10, often called CoQ10, and N-acetylcysteine, usually known as NAC. These have all been researched in the context of fertility and oxidative stress. The crucial thing here, though, is personalization. It's not about just grabbing everything off the shelf. A personalized strategy, ideally guided by, lab testing if possible, and definitely with clinical expertise. That's really the key to optimizing these enzyme systems effectively and making a real dent in oxidative stress if someone is struggling with fertility.
It's one thing to understand the science, the biochemistry of it all.
Yeah.
But how does this actually look in practice? Like, can you give us an example of a place that's putting these ideas together, integrating them to help people?
Yeah, a great example is the Berkeley Center for Reproductive Wellness. They're based in New York City, and they've been doing this kind of work for, I think, over 2 decades now. What's really insightful about their approach is how they see ancient practices, like acupuncture and herbal medicine, not just as alternatives, but as fundamental tools. Tools that can powerfully synergize with modern reproductive medicine. Sometimes creating the right conditions where maybe conventional methods alone were struggling. Their approach uses things like fertility-focused acupuncture protocols and highly individualized Chinese herbal formulas. The aim is multifaceted. Support hormone balance, improve blood flow to the reproductive organs, reduce inflammation, which is closely tied to oxidative stress, and crucially optimize the quality of both eggs and sperm.
So it sounds like it's not about choosing either conventional or this integrative approach.
Yeah.
It can work alongside treatments like IVF.
Exactly right. Their protocols are really designed to work with the body's natural cycles and rhythms. And absolutely, where it's appropriate, they collaborate very effectively alongside treatments like IVF or IUI. They work with people facing all sorts of challenges. Maybe it's age-related fertility decline, diminished ovarian reserve, conditions like endometriosis or PCOS or male factor issues. The key is that their approach is always tailored. It's customized to that individual's unique situation and needs.
And what about results? What kinds of outcomes are they actually seeing with this combined integrated method?
Well, their track record really speaks for itself. They report that many patients see tangible improvements, better outcomes with their IVF cycles, for example. Others find their menstrual cycles become more regular. Men might see improvements in sperm parameters like motility or morphology. And ultimately, they report helping many achieve successful pregnancies, sometimes even after years of trying and perhaps unsuccessful attempts with other methods. It really underscores the potential power of bringing together these, ancient healing traditions with our modern understanding of reproductive science. It's about leveraging the best of both worlds for something as fundamental as building a family.
Okay, so let's pull this all together. In this deep dive, we've really peeled back the layers on malondialdehyde, MDA, that sort of hidden barrier at the cellular level affecting fertility. We've seen how vital our body's own antioxidant defenses like catalase and GPX truly are. And we've explored how targeted nutritional support and holistic practices, like those used at places like the Berkeley Center, can actually help bolster these defenses and potentially improve reproductive outcomes. The real power, it seems, comes from understanding these underlying cellular processes
Yeah.
and seeing how they connect to your own very personal journey.
Absolutely. And it leads to a broader thought, perhaps. Considering how intimately our internal biochemistry, what's happening inside our cells, connects with our lifestyle choices, our diet, our stress levels, and even with wisdom from ancient traditions, all converging on something as fundamental as fertility. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other seemingly disconnected aspects of our health and well being might actually be profoundly linked in ways we're only just beginning to grasp?